So for Bravo, it says, oh, by the way, also for Alpha on your paper, copy this rectangle. I already did that for you and write the multiplication problem it represents. We did that in A. So it says fill in the areas of each of the four sections. What math problem does each smaller section represent? So as I do this, I find answering the question helps me to be able to fill in the areas of each of the four sections. So as I do figure out what the math problems each part of these is, then that helps me to know what the value of each one of them is. And so that's what we're going to work on right here. So as I'm looking at this, I want to remind you. So as we're doing this, we're talking kind of about like area. And so finding the area of a rectangle is going to be our length times our width, or our base times our height. And so as I'm looking at these smaller rectangles, I'm asking myself, what is the area of that smaller rectangle? So, because again, the area for this is already on here in total. But what I'm doing is I'm breaking those apart into easier problems. So to find the area of this one right here, this part of the rectangle, I'm going to take my base, which is 2, and I'm going to multiply it by 1, which is my height. So I have 2 times 1, which is 2. That would be 2 square units, if you will, if that's what, because we're talking about area. So for this one right here, and it really doesn't matter the order that we do these in, I'm particular and I go from left to right. So on this one here, to find the area of that smaller guy, I'm going to multiply 1 times 3/10. And 1 times 3/10 is 3/10. And I know that because it's the identity property of multiplication. Anything multiplied times 1 is itself. So that's going to go right here. Next, I have to find the area of this guy right here. So we're going to multiply 4/10 by 2. So we have 4/10 by 2. Some people want to grab a calculator for this, but I think it's just double 4/10. So if I'm doubling it, that means it's going to be 8/10. Lastly, we have this guy right here. So we're going to be multiplying together 3/10 and 4/10. I bet you already guessed that. And we know that 3 times 4 is 12. But usually the stumbling block for students on this problem is where to place the decimal. Some kids think that it should go here. Other kids will think that it goes right here. So if I have 3/10 times 4/10, I have 1, 2 spaces behind my decimal. So I'm going to move my decimal 2 spots so that I also have 2 spots to the right of my decimal. So what I have over here as far as spaces behind the decimal, I'm also going to have behind my decimal in my answer. So that is 1200.